single and dating? Raise your hands, please. Okay, that's not that many. Can I safely assume that the rest of you is in some kind of a more or less committed relationship? Yes? Okay. So, who has ever used a mobile dating app? Okay, that's better. Good. I am talking about love. More specifically, I'd like to highlight some of the bumps on the road of love. And I'd like to share a novel idea on how to overcome them. So you might be wondering, why are we talking about love on a TEDx devoted to voyage? Well, what if I tell you that love might be the biggest journey of your lifetime? You see, love is universal. It transcends time, language, culture, and gender. From Adam and Eve to Harry and Meghan, every culture has their own story about the quest of love. Stories of longing and letting go, lust and loss. My own personal story of love recently concluded in conscious uncoupling. And I say concluded and not ended on purpose, because conscious uncoupling is a process whereby both partners decide that maybe the romantic union is no longer fulfilling all their expectations, but they still appreciate each other and they would like to continue another kind of relationship. So I'm glad to say that for us, this worked out beautifully. And to this day, we are good friends and business partners. And you see, that's very important to me, because as Luigi said, besides being a business strategy consultant, I'm also a very passionate health and well-being coach. And during my studies, I discovered something that I had always intuitively sensed, but was very happy to find it had been proven scientifically. Namely, that besides diet, exercise, and sleep, also the quality of your relationships is a key driver for your health and well-being. And it works in both ways. On the one hand, a long, heartfelt hug, or 5 minutes of cuddling with someone you love, or even your pet, will generate a cascade of feel-good hormones: dopamine, serotonin, prolactin, oxytocin, all rush together through your body to create this general feeling of well-being. It lowers your blood pressure and decreases the stress response. So now you know what to do next time you feel stressed. But unfortunately, the flip side is also true. Abusive or toxic relationships can be detrimental to your health, and they can be as bad as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Now that's shocking, isn't it? But science does tell us that love generates the highest highs of euphoria and the lowest lows of anxiety. And that shouldn't come as a surprise, really, because we've been hardwired for love since the dawn of humanity. Love is a primal survival drive. And yes, of course, there's the primal biological procreation drive, but without love, we wouldn't be here. It's only because people, very early on, cared enough for each other to stick together, to bring each other food when they were sick or pregnant or giving birth, to protect each other from the attack of a saber-toothed tiger. So the way we love has also remained unchanged for millions of years. We used to live in very small communities, so our options were limited. If you had like 3 options, maybe maximum 5 if we count the people in the next village, that would be a lot. And so we have been hardwired to choose among a very limited number of choices. Give us any more than 5 choices and we freeze. We don't know what to do with that. And that's important. We'll see that a little bit later. So knowing all of this, it's very interesting to see where society has come now, because we have changed tremendously in the last 5 decennia, I would say, but dating has changed exponentially in the last 10 years. Tinder was launched in 2013, and all of a sudden, massive paradigm shift, there was no more limits, neither in time nor in space. We could browse profiles of possible hookup or partners from all over the world whenever we choose to, standing in line, getting at the cash machine, or in the grocery store, on the toilet, anywhere. But we, of course, have not been able to adapt to this. It takes people a little bit longer than 10 years to evolve. So what happens? We get stuck. We get totally wrapped up in the new reality of all the options. And then there is analysis paralysis. So we have never had more opportunities to hook up ever in the history of humankind, but it's never been more difficult to find your special person. And if you have found them, it's never been more difficult to keep them. Divorce is at an all-time high. So knowing what I do about the importance of love for my health and well-being, and learning from my own positive experience with conscious uncoupling, I made myself a promise. I told myself, next time, you're not going to wait until the end of the relationship to start treating it consciously. I promised myself I would kick off the next relationship in an intentional and conscious way. Of course, conscious coupling, which is what this is, requires both partners to be on board, to travel together on this journey of love, being open and honest and intentional, so that they can prevent, overcome, and work through the challenges that life will inevitably throw at you. So, like any journey of 1,000 miles, this one starts with the first step. And what is that step? Finding your travel buddy, right? And this is where I hit the first bump on the road. You see, 14 years ago, when I met my previous partner, I met him through my professional circle. And that's become very rare these days. There's been the Me Too movement, and then a few years of lockdown, remote working. People are no longer used to socialize in real life. Approach anxiety is a growing concern. So my friends told me, you've got to go onto Tinder or Bumble, because that's what people do these days. And when you think about it, it makes sense, right? You can totally overcome this approach anxiety via the use of mobile dating apps, because people on these apps give you a sign that they are approachable, they are interested, in meeting people. And then when you have a match with someone, you know it's okay to start a chat. So in that way, technology has lowered the barriers to finding a new partner. And that's a good thing. So why does mobile dating have this toxic reputation? So I was curious, and I Googled it, like one does. I was stunned with the results. 8 million results in the blink of an eye, reports, statistics, articles, all about this topic of toxic behaviors in dating, but also in relationships. And these were results from India to Canada to all over the world. It seems widespread, this problem. So I delved a little bit deeper because my nature is one that is very curious. And I did some field research, as one does. And I found that maybe all of this toxic behavior is originating in the way we are using the technology at hand. So we are using these mobile dating apps on autopilot. It's like Tinder is the Tesla of dating apps, right? You get on, make a profile, and then you're being driven by the mechanics of the app. You don't need to think anymore. Profile after profile after profile, and they keep getting better because the algorithm starts to get to know you. So it's very easy to give in to that. But you got to realize one thing. We are looking to meet somebody and get off the app. But the mobile dating apps, they have ulterior motives. They are there to make money for their shareholders. And they want to keep you on the app as long as possible. Do you see the conflict of interest? So Tinder is actually the highest grossing, supposedly non-gaming app out there. It doesn't want you to find your partner. Because if you find your partner, you will get off the app. And so will the other person. You will stop your subscriptions. And the app will lose out 4 times to buyers and to sellers. So they have very strong incentives to keep you on the app. And this is where it becomes interesting. They invented gamification. So the most important and well-known of the gamifications is obviously the swipe. The swipe has changed dating forever. It turned dating from a means to an end into a game, and therefore an end in itself. And swiping is only one of the gimmicks. There's the superstar button, right? So when you hit by accident on someone that has a superstar button, you get a pop-up that says, ooh, you might want to send this person a super like, because otherwise you won't stand out of the crowd. And what you have to do to send a super like? Upgrade your subscription. Tja. Yes, I've got it figured out. And then gamification is only part of the issue. It's combined with the sheer volume of players. And that's the secret sauce of success for any social network. The more players are on it, the better the network works for all the other players. And this obviously then turns us back to our problem of we can only choose between 3 to 5 options. What happens now? We have like hundreds, and every time you go on the app, there's more and more people being presented to you. So you don't choose anymore. And then you combine that with a third phenomenon, the commodification of people. Because the environment of a mobile dating app looks like you are on an online shopping platform. You give in what you're looking for, and you kind of browse until you find the people. And then you put them in your basket, or you put them on your wish list. The only thing missing really is reviews. Now, that would be interesting. But, yeah, so we put these people like products, And we don't realize they are actually real people. They look like avatars at best. And we don't realize these are people we can actually hurt. And these three phenomena combined make that toxic behavior becomes very easy. Because people on average are chatting with 10 other people at the same time. And that quickly gets overwhelming. And how do you even keep up and who's who and who had the cat and who had the kids and who doesn't want to marry? Gets complicated. So what happens is people start mirroring the behavior they see happening on the apps. It's almost like ghosting is an unwritten rule of the game. But nobody stops to think about the people on the other end. So all these toxic behaviors lead to this toxic spiral. And you can see where this is going. But we don't need to go there. We can choose another option. And this is where I propose a detox. From my point of view as a health and well-being coach, it's very healthy to take a step back and reflect. Put your profile on hold, that's what I did. Or even totally go off the apps. And take a moment to think about what it is that you really want from a partner, from a relationship, and what can you bring? What are your red flags? What are your boundaries? And only then come back. Because I'm not suggesting you give up on finding this beautiful thing that's called love. I'm just suggesting a new way. And this is where I put on my consultant's hat and I say, I propose a hybrid solution. Technology, let's face it, it's not going to go anywhere anytime soon. So we might as well use it to our benefit. We use it to enhance the efficiency of our search, but then as soon as we found someone, take it offline. Get to know the person in 3D and 4D. Because that's where the magic happens. So I can leave you all, dating or in a couple, with 3 takeaways that will help you connect or relate in a more conscious way. The first one is this: be you. Be authentically you. And yes, that might be an overused word, but it's so true and important. When you're dating, make your profile reflect who you are, not what's going to attract the most likes, who you are uniquely. And when you're in a relationship, never quiet or silence your own desires. The other person is not a mind reader, so you've got the voice, what it is that you like. Second takeaway is be curious. When you're dating on the apps and you are attracted to someone, but they remain a little bit vague on certain things that are important to you, ask them. The sooner the better, actually, because the sooner you ask these questions, the more likely you are to get an honest reply before there's any emotional or physical attraction at play. That's when you get the truth. And when you're in a couple, again, don't assume you are a mind reader. When somebody has a certain behavior that doesn't feel right or you didn't understand that reply, ask them, what do you mean by that? And then a third and final golden rule: be kind. Behavior is contagious, so treat people like you want to be treated. I'll leave you with a last thought. Love is not a destination. Love is the journey. Now swipe right with love and bon voyage. Thank you.